Hello, I'm RJ City, and you are listening to the MonsterCast. You're going to talk about Bela Lugosi. They're going to talk about Lon Chaney Jr. be so sad, holding his hat, saying, "Please put me in this room and don't unlock the door." And you can't do any better than the Dahl brothers. Jack and Ryan, they're brothers, but they're also bros. What? Pardon? Wrestling. Well, who the hell wants to talk about wrestling? These are horror movies. It's a deep genre. It's a smart genre. Fantastic actors. Fantastic cinematography. Wrestling is just sweating and fireworks and bouncy ropes. There's nothing. So how can you talk about that every week? All right. Let's see them try. Take it away, you crazy dolls.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful here. You're watching the MonsterCast with Jack and Ryan. A big shout out to those fellas. Good people. Check them out.
Jake and Brian. Brandon Cutler here from AEW, and I hope you guys have an awesome podcast with the MonsterCast. What was that? Your name is Jack and Ryan? Shut up, Jack and Ryan.
Wrestling podcast? How fucking original.
I mean, you're welcome.
Here's your host of the MonsterCast, the Straight Edge Monster Jack and Ryan.
Full Gear. AEW got a huge dub this weekend, and we talked about this a little bit on the show, and we talked about it before in the past. It's like this one had the better stories and stuff, but the matches weren't like dream match scenarios or anything where you're like, oh man, this fucking pay-per-view is going to be so fire. Yeah. And then of course those are the pay-per-views that end up being in the discussion for best pay-per-view of the year or all time in AEW's history, stuff like that. I feel like we can put this one up there close to the top as well. Yeah.
I think the Hangman Swerve match is carrying a lot of weight for that. So I've gone back and watched that one once already, and I feel like the rest of the card was good. Don't get me wrong, but a couple things took me out of a couple matches. So one thing I wasn't crazy about was having Brian Cage do the interference spot in even that match. I thought it was unnecessary. I think if you're telling the story of Swerve, then just having Nana pull him out the one time to stop that one count was enough.
I disagree with that because I'm not gonna shit all over your thing. Like I get what you're saying, because I say that kind of shit all the time about the interference stuff, right? But I only disagree because Hangman was beating Swerve's ass so much that Swerve just coming around by himself and winning the match wouldn't have made any sense to me, because like, how the fuck did he come back from that?
Well, that's the thing, though. Nana pulls him out at one point to stand him up at the part where he's got the barbed wire wrapped around his head. And I feel like that alone, it's like, okay, you got a free recovery that you shouldn't have gotten. You should have lost that match right there. And then from there, him coming back kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but that wasn't like a thing that actually went in his favor as far as physicality goes, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just the reset part.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's just like that match, the way it started, the first 5 minutes, it was Swerve just getting his ass beat.
Yeah.
And then like when it got to the point where Swerve was stapling himself and being like showing you how sadistic he is, and now he's like immune to the pain because he's already taken everything that Page can dish out. Now if he would have won there or shortly after that, I would have been okay.
I thought after the fucking the dead eye onto the barbed wire thing, I was like, fuck, is this gonna be a squash match? Because that whole sequence, I was like, fuck, like it was. I mean, he had already done the little Terminator spot where he stapled himself by then, but I was just like, fuck, like if it ends here, and it could have for sure. I was.
It could have ended at a lot of different points because that match was over 29 minutes long.
Yeah, that's crazy. My dog's whining. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go let her out. I'll be right back.
You're good, bro. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I will say that Ryan is thinking around along the same lines as I do with the interference spots. Like, I've always been a person in past pay-per-view matches, especially cage matches, for instance. Like, cage match, it's nonsensical to have someone come in and interfere when the entire object of that match is to keep people out. So that always annoys me. It annoyed me about the Becky Lynch Trish Stratus cage match as a recent example. Like, it's just super annoying to me. I hate it. In a Texas Death Match, however, I don't have a problem with anybody interfering. Brian Cage obviously makes sense because he's actually in Swerve stable. He has the history with Adam Page, so I didn't really have a huge issue with it. And it helped protect Adam Page even when he lost at his pay-per-view and his type of match, in a match where he was destroying Swerve. So, like, if we're giving Swerve the win, and I didn't think we were, I thought I picked Hangman Adam Page, obviously, in the prediction show. So did Ryan. If we're giving Swerve the win, then yeah, we have to protect Adam Page at some point because he's been taking a lot of losses as well. And it's like, he doesn't have the Elite to fall back on right now because they're at odds with each other. So what do you do with them? Maybe put him in the Continental Classic or something like that. But then, like, how serious is people going to take him when he just lost twice in a row to Swerve? So I think even with him losing to Swerve this time, he's been protected twice. Once by Prince Nana's crown, and then once by Brian Cage interfering. So, like, I don't have a huge problem with it. The match was absolutely insane. I think it gets lost in the shuffle, but I think the Jericho and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks match was really fucking good. So, like, if you literally turn on Full Gear right now and go right to that match and only watch that match, I think it's way better. I think it should be talked about more, but it's not because it came on right after Hangman Swerve or whatever. I do hate that he's making me talk this much when I've got a fucked up throat, but I'm gonna keep going. Let me look at the predictions. We're gonna throw up the prediction records, actually. Let's look at. So I gained 1 on Ryan, actually. So here's the new records. I'm still
Allegedly.
champ. I'm still champ, baby. I won by 1, 9-2 to 8-3. So I've gained a match back, I believe.
It was what? Julia Hart was mine, and then you got the tag match, right? And what was the other one? Oh, the
I got a
Bucks
tag match, and I got
both tag matches, the 4-way and the.
yes, the 4-way too. Yeah. All right. So I was just talking about how I usually don't like interference in matches, but I'm giving this one a pass just because it was Texas Deathmatch plus Brian Cage has the history with Adam Page, and like I said on the show, in the prediction show, what do you do with Adam Page if he loses twice to Swerve? So he's been protected twice because it's Continental Classic or nothing, and are people going to take him seriously if he loses straight up to Swerve after already losing to him again? Because he doesn't have the Elite to fall back on because they're at odds with each other. So it's not like he can just be inserted into the Elite story out of nowhere. He's got to go somewhere because now the Swerve Hangman story, you assume, would be over after that Texas Death Match, at least for the time being.
He posts. You see what Hangman posted on Instagram?
No.
It's like a picture of him drinking Swerve's blood, and the caption was like, "You're in me forever" or some shit. It was weird, but yeah, no. I don't know. They might call it after that, but I feel like with the story being that Swerve was the one that broke into his house or whatever, like Hangman has to go up at some point.
Well, I mean,
right?
this is one of the reasons why I had them in my fantasy booking of the Continental Classic in the same group, because then they would have to fight each other. And then Hangman could get the win back there or something like that to get the points or whatever.
Clean match where he can't use cinder blocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that match was fucking crazy.
The match was insane, dude. And I am going to do something I rarely do on the show, and that's tell Ryan that he was right and I was wrong. We have this conversation about match ratings all the time, and I say I'll never go over 5. And now I finally have my first instance of what I understand what you were saying. And the reason I have that is because I gave Hangman and Swerve at Wrestle Dream a 5. Well, this match was better than that match.
Right.
So this will be my first ever 5.5 rating on the show for that Texas Death Match. It's not something I'm going to do constantly. Like if it's a 1-to-1 comparison like that, I'll do it. But if it's like if it's a really good fucking 5-star match and it's Omega and Ospreay, right? I'm not giving it a 5.5 based off of Hangman and Swerve's 5. I would give it a 5.5 based off the last Ospreay and Omega. So I'm going to keep it 1-to-1. But I do understand what you're saying right now. Like,
well, that's how Okada and Omega ended up with a 7, right? It's because he was comparing it to the other matches.
Okay, so I mean, I get that now. So 5.5 is my highest rating I've ever given. But that would also be dependent on how many times these guys fight as well. So like, I might give something a 5 or whatever, and then everybody's like, "Oh, how'd you get that one a 5? But this one's 5.5." Well, they never fought each other again. So do better than that one. Big deal. Why this one got a 5.5? So it's also dependent on that. But you were not only were you right about that, but you were also right in Julia Hart's win for the TBS Championship. Now, I said on the prediction show I wanted to go Julia Hart, but
I think I even told how she was going to win, didn't I?
To what?
I said she was going to steal a pin.
Yeah. So I was going to pick Julia, and I liked the way the show was going with how many differences we were doing. So I just said, fuck it, I'm going to go Sakai Blue, because it just kind of made sense to me if you think about it too, with who her first opponent could be. Like I was talking about Willow when I was fantasy booking, what they could do right out of the gate with that.
Kind of the same reason I picked the Bucks. So yeah,
I hate the fact that one of them had to lose, I guess, because they were both doing so good. And like we said, Statlander's ready to go to the next level. So I was happy for her. You got that one right, obviously. Shockingly enough, you had mentioned it on the at the end of the prediction show or whatever. Hey, what happens if we pick somebody and none of us get it right? That would fucking suck. But we didn't have that problem here somehow.
Yeah.
All right, so
listen,
all right, let's go. Let's do
hold on. The 4-way tag though, I should have won, because when Cash did that fucking move onto the ladder on the outside, Dax was just standing in the fucking ring doing nothing.
Yeah, they both
for like 30 fucking seconds.
They had 2 ladders and both people in the ring. Yeah.
What the fuck was that? I mean, I could have climbed that ladder 10 times in that time.
I mean, you gotta have hair to protect that brain, man. You can't just let that thing out there willy nilly. It gets damaged.
Fucking Christ.
All right, so we're gonna do quick takes.
I was like, oh cool, that's the ending spot. There's nobody there.
Let's do some quick takes on some of these other ones. Now, I will say that I had said when you were gone to let the dog out, I said if you turn on Full Gear right now and just skip ahead to the Golden Jets versus Bucks match, I think it's a lot better than what people's not talking about it because of the Swerve Hangman match. But I think that match is close to a 5 as well.
It was really good storytelling in that match, and not just the obvious stuff of like, oh, Kenny might V-trigger Jericho or whatever. That was like the blatant stuff, but just like the a lot of other stuff, like the way that Matt had like no fucking hesitation at all going at Kenny. Nick had a little bit, and then Kenny had a lot of hesitation going at fucking both of them. And they play that up really well to Kenny's gradual, like, all right, no, fuck both of you kind of thing. Also, their chair tantrum hitting the post and shit at the end was like the same tantrum as Jericho had in WCW way back in the day, like down to the fucking, like hitting the post with a chair and the same screaming and stomping around shit, like it was all the same. So there's an interesting storytelling element there that I don't think people picked up on, aside from the obvious, like, oh, well, Kenny's their friend, but also whatever shit, which is fine.
You think it was interesting that Don Callis was on commentary for that call?
I thought it was strange, because why does he give a shit who wins? Unless he's trying to pick up the Bucks.
Yeah, that would be weird. I mean, they could tease that, but I don't think they would go. That wouldn't make any sense with all the shit that they did to get Kenny away from him. But
yeah, right.
All right, so MJF and Joe both win, so that now that Joe can get the title shot.
All right, I got a small complaint about that.
About the tag team match or about the main event?
Both at the same time, because it's related. How the fuck are you gonna sell that Adam Cole is gonna come out and try to fight fucking Jay White, but he's not okay enough to try to fight for the tag team titles? It doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
I understand he's still hurt.
No, not only do I agree with that, here I'll one up you. Why didn't Samoa Joe offer to step in for MJF in the world title match Because, like you said on the prediction show, he has to protect MJF's title so that he can get a title shot against MJF. So why didn't we get Samoa Joe versus Jay White in the main event?
And why was Jay White just automatically going to get the belt? What is that?
Yeah, that was random. They just threw that in there like it was a contract. One of the bylines of the contract was like, no one ever said no shit like that, ever. Maybe they didn't want to give away the story at Full Gear as well.
Maybe.
But still.
Yeah, that whole thing, because I was like, because I thought about it for a sec, because I confused myself, and I was like, oh, well, they do that in New Japan, like if somebody can't defend it, they give it to and it's like, no, wait, they don't just give it to the other fucking guy. There's always a match for the vacant one, like every time, because that's how Lance Archer originally got the U.S. title.
Maybe it was a
to vacate.
Possession is 9/10 of the law situation. So Jay White had it for the last month and a half, so maybe he just becomes champ.
Give it to him.
Like an Eric Bischoff handing Triple H the Raw World title now. Like it's just yours, bro. Like we're just gonna have a title and it's yours.
Yeah, that I wasn't crazy about the way that they told that story. I wasn't crazy about Adam Cole is apparently okay enough to try to fight Jay White in a singles match, but not okay enough to stand on a fucking apron. I didn't like a lot of the stuff in the main event too, where there were opportunities for Adam Cole to fucking hit Jay White with his crutch instead of trying to do the here's a ring bullshit. Just fucking smack him with the goddamn crutch in the head. He's like leaning his head out the ropes. I thought that was what was coming.
How many times did it look like Adam Cole was actually trying to cost MJF the match?
Twice, I think.
He did the whole ring thing like fucking Santos Escobar out
He did
there.
that shit like
With
Wardlow.
the brass knucks for Logan Paul. Like what the hell were you doing, bro?
Yeah.
Like you didn't think that Jay White was gonna come over there. You couldn't grab that faster than he crawled over there.
Like, why did it take him so long to grab it back? I was like, what the fuck? Your foot's broken, not your fucking arm. What are you doing? Take it. It was
All
real
right.
weird.
So anyway, the matches were fine in a vacuum, but like yes, I agree. Because they were connected, it doesn't make any sense at all why Joe wasn't the one to come out, or why Joe didn't come out at all. Even if he wasn't out there to fill in for the actual match, at least come out there and take out the guns or something. You know, like something like that. It didn't make any sense to me either. I agree with that. Quality in-ring action, just storytelling.
Backstage. So like, what are we doing?
Yeah, storytelling wise, it didn't make any sense. I agree with you, and that doesn't usually happen. Definitely not in AEW's main event scene. So, like, yeah, I thought
when Cole came out that he was going to call out Joe to come back
because they know each other. Yes, and yeah, exactly. I know that would have been awesome. That would have been cool. Yeah. Or Adam Cole could have acted like he was coming out, and then Joe's like, "Nah, I got this. Don't worry about this." And then that would have worked too.
I think.
I think it would have been like that would have been so interesting because. He saves Adam Cole's title so that he can get a title shot. Then he saves MJF from getting to keep the title so that he could still get the shot against MJF. Like that's never been done before, I don't think. Like literally filling in for a world champion in a world championship match just so that you could get a match against the actual world champion. That would have been so fucking cool to do like that.
Here's the thing too, and somebody else mentioned this, so I'm stealing their thing, but there's such a history of doing interim titles in AEW that it really wouldn't have made sense for them to do he can't come out, so it just goes to Jay White anyway. They would have made it like an interim title. It wouldn't have been gone straight to Jay. So it's another weird little thing too.
Yeah, I will say in Tony's defense, he has been doing vacant a lot more recently than the interim. But then it still doesn't make any sense because it's not like they're vacating it either. Like you said, like they do in New Japan where they have a match for it. So what do? You vacate it right there, and then what you should have done was you vacate it, and then have Joe versus Jay White in a fantasy world.
I think people would have been pissed off about paying for an MJF main event and then not getting it.
No, I agree with that, but I mean, I don't think they would have been as pissed off if Joe was doing the match for MJF though.
I think they would have
loved that shit.
I had to explain that to somebody in the fight. So I ordered on Fight because it's like $10 cheaper on the Canadian VPN. Apparently you can go to like Lithuania or some shit. It's like $4, but I don't mind paying $40. 50 is a little, but I'll pay 40. So I do it on the Canadian VPN, and the Fight has a chat. So in the chat, when MJF first got injured, there was this dude in there who was like pissed. He's like, I just paid $40 to see this MJF match, and now he's not gonna wrestle. I was like, bro, he's gonna come back out. Like the way that they do these stories is like, he's gonna be injured. Adam Cole's gonna come out to the ring, and then they're gonna act like that's gonna be the match, and then you're gonna hear like a fucking ambulance come up, and MJF's gonna come out or whatever. It'll still be that match, I promise. And he's like, oh yeah, I just started watching wrestling like 3 months ago. I don't know. was like, okay, well that makes sense. But no, it's like a very common trope, dude. You'll be all right. It'll still be MJF, I promise.
All right. I mean, if you watch the pre-show, you already got to see him wrestle anyway. So pipe down.
Yeah.
All right.
You already paid
Pipe
your
down.
money.
You could have watched him for free and not paid anything. All right. So let's see. Claudio beat Buddy. Which we both called a really good match. Probably one of the better 0-hour matches ever.
Like ever, or
yeah, probably, yeah. I would say
it was
so.
pretty competitive.
But
I liked
it definitely felt like they're clearly not done with each other. But it's also clear that best friends and BCC aren't done with each other either. So I don't. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
They seem pretty done. I mean, aside from the little bump from Hook to Yuta, but that's a whole different thing. I think that's setting up for like a FTW thing. I don't think that's both of them against each other or anything.
Eddie Kingston beat Jay Lethal.
Yeah, that was a pretty good match too. I didn't expect much out of it.
I don't have a
just for...
separate topic for the Continental Classic thing, but we can talk about that. The Triple Crown.
Yeah, so the way that
situation.
Eddie described it was different than the way that Tony described it at the Scrum. So I was confused as fuck when Eddie described it because it didn't make any sense. Eddie made it sound
which is weird because Eddie should have described it correctly because it's based off of All Japan, which is he's a huge fan of.
Right. So Eddie, when he was describing it, made it sound like he was going to put the titles up individually in his matches, and then if he lost in the tournament, whoever he lost to would be the champion until
so
like
it would just
they
keep
wrestled
going.
somebody else.
Every time that person lost, it would just keep changing hands until the final person. It could like change hands 20 times in this fucking tournament.
Right. So my thought was he was going to lose it to somebody, and then that person was going to lose it to someone else, and then that someone else would be Eddie's last match in the block. So Eddie would beat them for their final match in the block, but he wouldn't necessarily make it to the final. So he would still leave with both titles, and everything would be fine, and then they would still do the thing. But then at the Scrum, Tony's like, no, it's just for his titles. Like, whoever wins the fucking tournament gets his titles too, no matter who he loses to or anything.
Yeah,
like,
so the way I
weird.
understood it, based off of All Japan Pro Wrestling, when All Japan had a Triple Crown champion, they had the PWF or PFT title or some shit like that, and then they had 2 NWA titles, and they were the Triple Crown, considered the Triple Crown. So what's going to end up happening is you've got 3 titles from 3 different promotions, quote unquote. You've got the Ring of Honor World Championship, you've got the NJPW Strong Championship, and you'll have the AEW Continental Championship. And then what happens is either they're going to carry all 3 around like they're fucking Ultimo Dragon, or they're going to have just the Continental Championship be the main title, and they call that the Triple Crown Continental Championship type deal. So one of those 2 things are going to happen. That I don't know. Yeah, that part I don't know. Because if the deal ever fizzles out or whatever, and New Japan doesn't want to do that anymore, or AEW doesn't want to do that anymore, they could just break the titles back up like they did in Japan. So,
yeah.
But that's the way I understand it. And then, of course, Tony Khan also said that whoever the Continental Champion was going into the next year's tournament, they would automatically be entered into the tournament if they were still champion by the time the tournament started again, which I thought was kind of cool.
I don't think he's not going to have them defend the Triple Crown.
He is. It's literally a championship. And then the people that are bitching about, how many titles does AEW have? The same amount they had before because y'all kept counting Ring of Honor titles. So
pretty much.
This is still one title. This is less titles technically. You just took 3. Well, 2 because this new one is a brand new one. But you get what I'm saying. 2 into 1 basically now. Yeah. So like
we've subtracted 1 total title.
That we have to see on TV because he's the New Japan Strong Champion. That's why I'm saying 2 into 1. But yes, it's literally less titles now that you have to see on TV. Why are you complaining?
Well, maybe still might come out with 3.
I mean, I'm cool with him coming out with 3, but it's recognized as 1, the Triple Crown Championship.
Right. Yeah, I think it'd be cool if they did a belt that was like a big center thing and then 2 smaller thing, kind of like Mickey Mouse ears, sort of, but not really on top. But it was like a square total. If that makes sense. And then you have the 2. ROH Strong, and then the other one, or you could do like a 3 set. There's ways to do it, but whatever design they come up with.
The AEW logo in the middle of the belt doesn't have to be the entire fucking big ass thing. You could just have it the same size as the 2 on the fucking plates on the side, and then whatever the design is over it. So it's got Ring of Honor on one side, AEW in the middle, and then New Japan on the other side. That would be. All right, we're back. All right, sorry about that, guys. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I had no drop frames. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. So I know it was a little confusing, and Tony Khan just kept talking about the Continental Classic like 8 times during the fucking Scrum. So that didn't help because he said the same shit over and over and over every time he started talking about it and running it down for everybody. What do you think about the three points for a win, 1 point for a loss thing?
I think it kind of takes away some of the drama of draws, so I don't know how much I like that. His reasoning behind it is very sports based, as far as like, oh, you'll want to fight more for the win, but I mean, it's being booked. So if you want to book more drama, I feel like you leave it as 2-1, because it does leave
Especially
more room
with
for
no interference allowed or whatever.
yeah. And it's got to have a time limit, right? Because there's all going to be, or a lot of them are going to
It
be
has
TV.
to. If you have a draw, it has to be a time limit. That's one of the
Well, it could be like
major
double count out
ways.
or something. Double count out.
It's one of the major ways. Time of the draw is one of the major ways for a draw.
But yeah, I think doing the 3 point thing actually takes away some of the drama because it's such a big gap. So I understand his logic
The way he was
behind-
talking about, like, it's not like, oh, double count out because, hey, I'm going to stop you so I can run in the ring faster so I can get the 3 points. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about, hey, I need to beat you as fast as I can because I want these 3 points. I'm not going to be dicking around and let it go to a draw. I think that's what he was implying. But yeah, I 15 minutes probably. It's going to be the time limit. What is it in G1? Do you know?
Is it 30? I feel like there's been some pretty long G1 matches.
Yeah, that's true. There has been long G1 matches.
Probably 30.
It's
Isn't
weird. But I feel like there's a lot of draws though too. There's that many 30-minute matches in it.
Yeah,
you could be right.
Long.
All right, let's talk about Darby Sting and
funny.
Adam Copeland getting the dub over the Patriarchy.
I kind of knew that was going to
Yeah, I
happen.
mean, that was the easiest one besides
I do
Jay
like-
White one.
I like that they didn't have Edge or Adam Copeland and Christian touch at all. I feel like that saves that for something else, which is good. Builds up a lot of tension or whatever. I thought the ending was pretty funny. Just Christian fucking runs away.
Yeah, Christian. Not only did Christian leave his buddies out to dry, but he also hit Luchasaurus with the title.
Oh,
So-
he went to go get some milk. He'll be back.
So do you think that this is leaning towards what Edge was saying was going to happen to Christian, that they're going to leave you or whatever, but it technically would be Christian's fault because he's the one that's fucking around?
I mean, maybe, but that's kind of a shit way to end the thing. Unless the next match right after this is now he has nobody to protect him anymore because they give up on him or whatever. And
Well, I don't
then
think it'll
Edge can
happen
get his hands
anytime
on him.
soon. I just think they were planting the seeds, though. Type deal.
Yeah,
I think at World's End's got to be Adam Copeland versus Christian now, right? Because you literally had them not touch for a reason.
Yeah, I probably. And I doubt either one of them are in the Continental. Old motherfuckers can't handle that. I think not having them
But
touch
you
was
wanted
good.
Jeff Jarrett in it, though.
That's different. He's timeless.
Oh my god, no, that's Tony Stark.
That's both of them. They're both actors. He was in
Jeff Jarrett should have been Tony Storm's Luther.
Jeff Jarrett was in Spring Breakers as a youth minister. I don't know why I know that. Yeah, I thought that not having them touch it all was good. I think the building of tension to that was good. It's definitely a little bit early to have Nick Wayne break off of Christian. It's probably not too early to have Luchasaurus break off. I don't know what they do with Jungle Boy when he gets back, but hopefully something useful.
You didn't hear
maybe they
he's
do
the
like
devil, bro. You didn't hear that?
I've heard that, but I don't think his hair would fit all up underneath that fucking hood without.
I already
being
told
pretty
you
obvious,
this
right?
is not anyone that's actually been under the basket, dude.
No,
There's
no.
way.
You didn't read. You should have read the fucking Fightful report because yes, it is. The report is direct from them. Is that it is the people who are going to be the character that are currently under all the fucking clothes and stuff. Because
I'll
there was a
believe that
concern
when I
about
see it.
continuity.
I'll
So,
believe that. when I
Yeah,
see it, 'cause
it
that's a
ain't no
skinny
fucking-
devil.
It ain't no T-bar situation.
Yeah, I disagree. We'll see. Like we've been getting
so
fed that too, though.
here's the thing, though. You notice there was no devil segment when Adam Cole was out by the ring.
Yes, I noticed that. And he's also skinny enough to wear the mask as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help your man bun hair fitting under the thing situation.
The fuck? Hold on. I
Did you like the? I mean, they pretty
his
much
hair's
did the
too
punk.
thick.
They pretty much did the punk thing with the thing where they came out with the face paint or whatever
Oh yeah, yeah.
for this
I mean,
match.
he's-
But I
he's-
did like the
he's
matching
replaced.
trench coats. That was a nice little added touch, though.
Yeah, I thought Edge's or goddamn, why do I keep calling him Edge? I thought Adam Copeland's. He just needs a shorter name, bro. Just Copeland. I don't know. We got to get him a 1-syllable name. Because I don't want to say Adam Copeland every time. It sucks.
And you can't just say Adam because there's too many.
Yeah, it's like, Adam! I just call him Cope.
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 For the WWE fans out there. Cope.
Cope that he signed. I liked his face paint. I thought it looked cool. I thought Darby took some nasty fucking bumps in that match.
Well, this
But
was Darby's last match. I told you this already. Might as well go all out, man. Might as well go all out. And they even mentioned the Mount Everest thing on commentary. So yeah. Like,
Jesus, that one bump he
that
took.
might have been his last match too. You talk about Sting's last match in California. That might have been Darby's last match ever. You know, we don't know what the fuck's gonna happen at Mount Everest.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people do die there. I imagine with him though.
You said people do die like it was only like 3 or 4 of them. No, a lot of people die.
I mean, people.
At Mount
No,
Everest.
a lot of people die. I think with him though, I think he's got enough. He does reckless shit, but I don't think he's ever gonna be like at the point where he'll push it too far, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like if he gets like a third of the way up and he's like, fuck it, I don't know, he'll probably go back down. He's got a lot to live for. So I don't think he's gonna die or anything. We'll see. Most of the people that die lately aren't dying for the reasons that they used to die. Like Sherpas used to die, or people used to die with Sherpas on the way up, and Sherpas used to die too, and stuff like that. Now it's normally like if something super unexpected happens, like there's a fucking log jam up at the top of people and people can't fucking move. That sucks. That would piss me the fuck off. I would just be like, get the fuck out of my way and roll down. I'm built different though. And there's stuff like random avalanches and shit. So yeah, we'll see. I'm sure I'll be alright. A lot of people do it successfully every year too, so that's what it is. But no, some of the bumps he took were fucking nasty, dude. But the thing is too, that match was so. I thought Nick Wayne was going to take the pin. I'm actually kind of glad that they had Luchasaurus take it instead. But as far as like who's going to win and all that shit, it was pretty predictable booking. And then you could tell that they were going to tease the Edge and Hope and Christian even touching each other and stuff. So I mean, it's fine.
All right, let's move on. We got 2 more matches that we haven't talked anything about that we need to talk about. That's OC defeating Moxley, like we both picked. And then, of course, Toni Storm becoming the new AEW World Women's Champion by beating Sheeta. So now they're both the only 3-time women's champions. We'll start with Orange Cassidy, obviously. He got the win that he needed, or that we thought he needed at
before, yeah.
Wrestle Dream? Yeah.
Is that when they're... Yeah,
no,
All
Out. It was All Out. Because they were the main event at All Out because Punk wasn't there.
Oh, yeah, true.
So Punk versus Ricky Starks didn't happen or whatever. Yeah, so he didn't get the win there. And we thought that would solidify his run.
Right.
And then a lot of chicanery happened because of injuries and stuff. Cassidy gets it back. And like his first defense is against the big bad that he couldn't defeat before that ended his run. So I think this actually helps him, actually, if you think about it. Kayfabe wise, you could always pin, and he kind of looks protected now in that first match at All Out because he was so beat up from all the challenges and stuff.
Yeah.
And now you get a healthy Jon Moxley and a healthy Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy won. So it's almost like Orange Cassidy would have beat you if he would have had any time to actually heal up that first time. And I think it feels like it legitimizes his first run even more.
Well, that, and you notice how head focused a lot of Cassidy's offense was too. It was playing up the Moxley concussion thing. That was a pretty big part of it too. He was clearly like working the head. So it kind of helped both of them save some credibility, I guess. But I still feel like it's like the Cody thing. Like if Cody would have won at WrestleMania, then everybody would be like, all right, cool. Like that's probably how that story should have gone. We can continue from there. And same thing with Cassidy. Like they didn't give him the win when they probably should have. So now the story feels a little bit jilted. But it seems like they've pulled it back the best that they can, I guess. So I'm good with it. I mean, we both picked him. We both thought he should have won here. The question is just like, how much does it fuck with his legacy of his previous streak or whatever? And I get the story of him being so worn down and then losing to Moxley or whatever, but I still think the better story would have been being so worn down, still beating Moxley, and then losing it because Moxley fucked him up so
check
bad.
This out. Listen to this question here. So the whole thing in the last one was he beat everybody. Every time anybody wanted a shot, he'd just throw 3-4 people in there. He don't care. Right on the spot. Rampage, Dynamite, Collision, didn't matter. and then the big bad he couldn't beat. Now he's starting off this reign by beating the big bad. So how long is he gonna have it fucking this time before somebody is able to take it off him? That like who's going to beat him? He's almost in like a Brock Lesnar situation. Like who the fuck's gonna beat this guy? Because he literally already started out with the one dude that he couldn't beat and beat him. So who the fuck's gonna take it off of him? It's gonna be crazy. All right, and what do you think about Toni Storm's win against Sheeta? We said it.
You don't want to talk about
it. I don't know why people thought that she doesn't need the title because of her character. Yes, she does, and now she has it, and they explain to you exactly why. Actually, at the beginning of that, and shout out to who was it? Shout out to one of the announcers who actually mentioned Joan Crawford by name, which I've used many times on the show to describe what her character is basically. Forgot who the hell it was.
You know, I like the pairing of Luther with her. I think it works.
No, I do too. I was just making a joke about the Jeff Jarrett thing.
No, I understand. But no, I mean, I've seen some people say like, "Oh, why is Luther still around?" Like whatever. Well, Luther's
I'm pretty sure he's a producer backstage or something, like an agent or something like that.
Yeah, they don't just use him on screen shit. But yeah, I mean, he's been doing pretty good in this role too. I also like that the finish kind of protected Sheeta a little bit, but I also thought the 10 thing was a little bit. It doesn't seem like it'd be hard enough or be a big enough deal to be hit with that and lose the match. You know what I mean? But it's what it is.
Well, I mean, her ass corner shot thing, or the hip attack, or whatever the fuck they call it. That's already one of her main moves anyway, and she has won many times with that. So adding something else extra on that just puts it away after one shot instead of having to do it multiple times and like making the finisher look weak. Because I believe she hit her with it last time and Cheetah kicked out. So in that respect, it does make sense. I think it just looked weird because it was falling out of her fucking tights.
Yeah,
that's why it looked weird. She had to adjust it a few times just before she even hit the fucking thing. Yeah. And then, of course, it didn't want to come out after that.
Well, the weird thing was it looked like Luther dropped her fucking shoe down her pants at first, and I was like, "What the fuck is he doing?" But no, it was the other thing.
But I'm happy to see it. I saw the little backstage thing where she was going across the Kia Forum, and all the names were on the wall that had performed there, headlined there or whatever, and she was that shit was funny as fuck, dude.
And the letter that she wrote to
Storm up here, we're gonna need a lot of room, all that kind of shit. That was funny. So she's clearly still in the character. The note to Tony Khan at the scrum was hilarious.
Aeroplane.
Give Ted my best was fucking. I laughed out loud at that one. Give Ted my best. That was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Turner Broadcasting Station. Give Ted my best. But yeah, it's really good. And what people don't understand is she'll have it for a while. You'll kind of get tired of it probably, but then whenever she loses it, probably to hate her, it's gonna get even crazier. Like I said, like she's just gonna lose her mind even more, which is gonna be great. There's levels to this character. There's depth to this character. That's what makes it good. And pardon my pun, timeless, basically. The other thing is, I still stand by what I said, though. I still think it should have been Saraya dropping the title to Toni Storm at Full Gear instead of having Sheeta have another short reign for no fucking reason other than to drop it to Toni, when Toni and the Outcasts were already having issues and the storyline was already built in. You could have even played up the new storyline with Ruby Soho and Cool Hand Ange by having Ruby Soho being distracted by Cool Hand Ange on the outside when she was supposed to help Saraya, and then Saraya turns around and then Toni Storm hits her with something and then does the same type of deal in the corner and does her moves or whatever. Like, and then you could play up the dissension between Saraya and Ruby Soho going forward with the storyline that they're currently involved in with Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange. Like, that would have made perfect sense to me, but you just got Sheeta just inserted in there just to have another short title run, which does her no favors, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it helps Sheeta a little bit because now she can say that she's 3-time champion though, so she's still tied for highest number of championships. So that's always a thing too. Like, it's not, it's not like this run was anything crazy or anything, but being able to say, I was a 3-time.
The last 2 runs haven't been. Even though her last run, she had it for only a few weeks and then dropped it to Saraya at All In.
Yeah, which was also fucking dumb. But whatever. Yeah. I feel like there's one we haven't talked about. What is it?
Yeah, no, that was it. We did the main event. We did Toni Storm, Orange Cassidy, Hangman. Oh, the 4-way ladder match. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really get into that one. Besides the dumb FTR spot that didn't make any sense.
Yeah. I mean, there were some crazy fucking bumps in that match.
Oh,
that was
crazy for sure. The Brody King like power driver
Ladder
thing on
one.
that when he fell down and they had to set the ladder back up because I guess that wasn't supposed to happen, or the ladder was supposed to stay. I guess. Maybe they were just supposed to bounce off. I don't fucking know. Or Brody King wasn't supposed to bounce off. Only the person he did the move to. I can't remember who it was.
It seemed like
he was supposed to stay on there because he laid back up there. Yeah. Cash losing his balance but recovering nicely. Watching the replay, I almost feel like he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like I'm selling that I'm not normally a high flyer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Thing.
When they showed that at first the live one, I was like, oh, he almost fucked up. But when they showed it again, I was like, that kind of looked like he did that on
It
purpose.
was a little cartoony, a little exaggerated. But yeah, no, that spot pissed me off because afterwards Dax is just standing in the fucking ring for like 30 seconds, not climbing the ladder. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you got all the time in the world. What are you doing?
Realistico showed out. Realistico showed out. Yeah, they both showed out in that match.
Yeah. And it's funny because we're talking about everybody except for the guys who won, but I mean, Big Bill has some crazy fucking did some stuff in that match too. I don't know that it took away from the whole match for me, but the shit with Dax, it was just like so. It's one of those things where something in wrestling makes so little sense that their character isn't doing it that it just like kind of took me out of it. I'm like, everybody's fucked up on the outside, and you're just like walking around the fucking like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, it was weird because like I
long.
could understand it if somebody got in the ring like 5-10 seconds later because you're like, oh, you were never gonna have a shot anyway. You were just waiting for him to come in. But to be in the ring for that long with two ladders that were set up and you knocked them down.
And it might not have been his fault. He might have been waiting on somebody else to hit their.
Yeah, it could have been somebody laid on a spot. Yeah, for sure. But it just did not come off optic wise.
Yeah, so I'm not blaming him specifically. It could have been anybody.
But I mean, hey, what do they say? Baby faces in wrestling are dumb. So.
Yeah. So now the tag title shot though is Big Bill and Starks versus Golden Jets.
Correct.
That's something.
And I do believe the Golden Jets will win it. Now the question remains whether that will take place if they're going to wait till World's End, which I believe they will. Because now with a seemingly monthly pay-per-view program in place, they'll probably skip January, but for the most part, like towards this last half of the year, it's a every month situation, which means we won't see as many of those big blow-off matches on Dynamites and Collisions as far as title matches go. We'll still see some title matches every now and then, but like title matches where you have a shot at actually changing hands, titles changing hands, I don't think we're going to see that as often. So that kind of sucks. But I felt like that was one of the things that you're like, oh, you got to watch AEW every week because if they announce a fucking title match, you'd have no idea. There was a lot of people that didn't think Shido was going to beat Shido was going to beat Saraya on that fucking Dynamite or Collision or whatever it was, and she ended up winning. Like, it was insane. I was like, oh shit, okay. So I mean, it's whatever, dude. What do you give the entire pay-per-view though? We grade pay-per-views all the time on here. Clearly, it was solid from an in-ring action standpoint, from top to bottom. It was literally. I feel like the in-ring action aspect of it was a B+ to an A+ the whole way. But when you start factoring in storylines not making sense, spots not making sense, it does clearly take away from the pay-per-view as a whole once you rewatch it. So with your assessment of the Brian Cage coming in and losing something, the FTR spot, the Samoa Joe, MJF Adam Cole thing not really making any sense when it comes down to the end of the pay-per-view, how much does that actually take away from the overall pay-per-view grade for you?
Like if it was on a 10-point scale, it'd be like 1 point off. So it's enough.
So a plus to a regular grade, like an A+ to an A type deal.
Much. Like it's and that's probably what I would give it. I would give it like an A. The other thing we didn't really talk about or get into is Jay White. Jay White pre-injures MJF, has MJF come out, wrestle injured, was basically on one leg the whole fucking match, and still loses. Now, granted, he lost to being hit with objects, but it's kind of the same as the Seth Cody thing for me, where somebody's got a clear injury, and you still end up fucking losing somehow, it doesn't make you look good at all.
No, it does. I mean, well, he's not buried. I don't know what the fuck.
No,
people
I wouldn't
online
say
are saying
that.
these. I know you're not saying that, but that's been a discourse on there. I'm like, what the fuck? No one, definitely not on this show, and no one that's actually been paying attention and watches the product thought Jay White was going to lose or win that match, right? There's no way.
Right.
But there is a better way for him to lose that match. Like, for instance, based off what we actually got on the pay-per-view, when you said, hey, Adam Cole, why the fuck didn't you hit him with something? That would have made sense. If Adam Cole hit him with the crutch, he turns around and gets clocked with the fucking diamond ring, and that's how he loses. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If we take that scenario out altogether and you have Samoa Joe come in and defend the title for MJF and he wins in a straight up match because it surprises Jay White and now he's got to go against like a pretty much healthy Samoa Joe and already warmed up Samoa Joe, if we're being real, because he had the tag team match, and he loses to Samoa Joe, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. But I agree with you, the way that they did it, because of how long the match was, and this man is on one leg the entire time, it definitely gave off Cody Rhodes' torn pec in a Hell in a Cell, still beating Seth Rollins vibes. Doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense at the Hell in a Cell match. Seth Rollins should have won, especially when you knew Cody was on his way out. And it didn't make sense here, even though we knew MJF was going to win. There should have been a better way to book Jay White taking the pin, because Jay White is known as a wrestler who always kicks out. So how the hell did he lose to one-legged MJF with like virtually nothing else going on?
That's the thing to me. It's like, why would you do the injury spot to you do the injury spot when you're trying to make somebody lose and still have like credibility afterward because they got fucked up before the match or whatever. You can do it as the heroic babyface spot, but I don't think you do that against Jay White. I think they should have just never done the fucking injury spot. Just completely forego that. You don't need the tease about it being Adam Cole at the end or any of that bullshit.
I'm okay with him doing the injury spot, but you could have done the injury spot in this match. So you could have had him getting taken out, him coming out regularly, right? Mm-hmm. Like, no, I'm still wrestling, I'm good. Come out regularly, and then Jay White goes to work on his leg, and that's when they do like the Mankind Hell in a Cell, where they're trying to like, dude, you gotta get the fuck out of here. And then he stops halfway up the ramp, like, nah, I'm fucking going back in. Adam Cole's trying to stop him because Adam Cole could still be out there, obviously. He's trying to stop him, be like, nah, I'm going back in there. I got to do this. So then he goes in there, doing the whole Adam Cole is going to step in for you when he's got a more fucked up ankle than you have of a leg. Doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, he wasn't physically there. But the other thing too is, if you wanted to tell the like pre-match injury angle or whatever, just have the fucking Guns attack him on the ramp when he's coming out. Why not that? Also, if the story you're trying to tell is to build the intrigue for the devil shit, and is trying to...
It's almost like we're complaining because MJF sold the injury too much. Is that accurate? Yeah, right? Yeah, that's what I feel like. He sold it too much to make him seem like he had zero shot, and then ended up coming back and winning against a healthy Jay White. Makes no sense. If you just, like you said, if you got attacked before the match, and it was just like a regular-ass injury, and then he just started works on the whole match, and you just come back from that, that would have made a lot more sense, yes.
Yeah,
I feel like the whole ambulance thing, coming back, all that shit, acting like you can't even walk, crying at the scrum type deal, like all that stuff. I'm sitting there like, there's no way Jay White shouldn't have been able to beat you one-on-one, especially when Adam Cole did not get involved. Like, doesn't make any sense.
Well, he did give the ring. The spot
he gave
where the
Jay White the ring.
The table
MJF
broke
took it off of Jay White.
The spot where the table broke before it was supposed to, and he still ended up doing the goddamn elbow anyway. Jesus Christ. Just an elbow drop straight to the fucking floor.
Yeah, straight to the floor. Yep. That didn't hurt your leg?
Well, no, he said at the scrum that's what was fucking hurting. Was he laying on his hip or whatever, and it was all fucked up.
Once that adrenaline starts wearing off, yeah, no shit.
Yeah. It's a long fall.
All right, so I think I tend to agree with you. I think I'm going to give it an A as well. I think it's an A. I don't think it's the best pay-per-view of the year. I think it's really fucking good. And I mean, that's like we're splitting hairs, nitpicking at pay-per-views at this point for AEW, right? They're like the top 4 fucking pay-per-views of the year. If we're talking about pay-per-view of the year for the Monster Awards, for the 5th annual Monster Awards this year, like the only ones in the running really are going to be fucking AEW pay-per-views. I mean, Forbidden Door 2 technically is AEW and New Japan, but you get what I'm saying. Right. Like, it's gonna be AEW. Like, it's gonna be hard to pick which AEW, but even Wrestle Dream, a lot of people were clowning Wrestle Dream before it started, and it ended up being super fucking good. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All in, obviously, with the biggest crowd ever. That's up there. Like, it's gonna be quite interesting to see how those votes go.